Tom and Jerry is the latest HBO Max and the theatrical release hybrid, and was it any good? Is it worth the watch? Well, a lot of the scenarios and the logic behind it are very fake. But there's two reasons why this works, and basically it's because it's a kid's movie, and the second reason would be because it's in a world where all the animals are 2D cartoon characters. So it allows a believability for some of our human characters to act cartoonish in their own right. The story was a bit basic and overused, but it's made up for with some fast pacing and some colorful settings and animation, along with some actually pretty well thought out clever gags, and you actually care about the characters a little bit. The Tom and Jerry aspect is what kept this movie afloat. Obviously, that's what everyone wanted to see out of this movie, and when it is playing out the Tom and Jerry parts, it feels like an old Tom and Jerry cartoon, with their rivalry being what we all wanted to see, being what interests us. And while the movie could have handled a little bit more, given us a little bit more of that rivalry, we still got enough. I was nervous that the movie was going to stray away and have them team up together halfway through the movie, but then that was taken care of because the entire problem of the third act is caused because their rivalry heats up again. And of course you have them team up in the ending. It's a little bit campy, but it's somewhat enjoyable. And for the kind of movie it is, yeah, it could have been done better, but having them with the cliche team up at the end, it works, and I'm glad that they just didn't use it too soon. And what's interesting is this actually has a message to it. It's kind of subtle, it doesn't lean into on it too heavily, but basically it has a little bit of a message about the younger generation, like the millennials and the Gen Zers, and how most people see them as lazy and as people who don't want to work to get anywhere. And it was nice to see a movie that kind of acknowledges that some of the young people today do want to work, and they do want to make something out of their lives, but they just don't have the resume or the qualifications as some of the higher ups because of the way society is shaped. And I like how this shone light on that even if you don't have all the experience, you should still have a shot at what it is you want to do in a career. So yeah, it was didn't focus in heavily on that, but it did enough that it actually left somewhat of a memorable impact. So this movie isn't an absolute must-see. It's not a groundbreaking original idea, but it is fun. It's definitely a kids movie, or a family movie, I guess would be the better word. If you have HBO Max, I would definitely recommend you watch this. It's definitely on the top of watch list for HBO Max subscribers. If you don't have HBO Max, I would say if you're into movies a lot, it would be worth getting HBO Max to watch this, and you would get a lot of other content along with the subscription. But this isn't worth seeing in theaters, so this is definitely a streaming movie. But in the end, I thought it was good. I give Tom and Jerry 2021 a 68% in quality, a 70% in enjoyment, for an overall score of 69%. Now it's time to get into the next segment, which is my box office predictions for this movie. So this is going to be a new thing that I'm going to be doing as new movies are starting to get released in theaters. I'm going to be predicting the opening weekends and the total domestic and worldwide box office. This is the first video in that series, and I kind of decided to combine it into the review. I won't be doing that regularly as we go forward. I will do the reviews and the box office predictions separate. But as for this video, I'm combining them. I've been talking too long, so let's get into the prediction. So I have 3 sections that I want to go over. I have a box office prediction of what I think this movie would normally make in a regular non-pandemic movie-going environment. Then I'm going to give what I think is probably the most likely scenario for the movie in a pandemic. And then I'm just going to give my own prediction of where I think it will end up inevitably. So first off, as for what it would make in regular movie-going environment, I think this would be looking at like a 30 million opening weekend and 110 million domestic total, with 150 million internationally, for a worldwide of 260 million. So it wouldn't be a huge hit, I don't think, but it would be a pretty decent size hit, especially for the kind of movie it is. Like I said, it seems more like a streaming movie, and with the pandemic, that actually works out great. But if it weren't for the pandemic, it would have been strictly to movie theaters, and I think it would have actually done pretty well just because of the popularity of the characters from the older TV shows and even the newer TV show of Tom and Jerry. So as for my pandemic prediction, I think this is most likely looking for like a 7 million opening weekend and a 28 million domestic total, with 52 million international, for a worldwide of 80 million. In the pandemic, this movie isn't going to be huge, but in terms of pandemic box office, I think it would rank higher than most of the average film does. I think it would be slightly higher than the New Mutants, but that's probably the closest comparison we have. As for my prediction, at the beginning of the year, I had a pretty big prediction for this. I predicted it would make like 10 million in opening weekend, but as of now, I don't think it's going to be that high. I think it's looking more for a 6 million opening weekend, just based on how things are going right now at the box office. I think for a total domestic run, I think looking for a 30 million total. I think it will have legs. And as for its international box office, I'd say 50 million, 50 to 60 is a reasonable bet for an inevitable 80 to 90 million worldwide total. It's not going to be a huge hit, but I think it will be what the theaters need as of now. It just needs a little bit of a spark at the box office, and a 6 million opening would be the biggest thing we've had since Wonder Woman 1984. And we have Raya and the Last Dragon coming up next week, so the box office is looking to heat up. We have Raya, and then a little less than a month away, then we would have Godzilla vs. Kong. So there are some good movies on the horizon that might be able to spice up the box office a little bit. Thanks everyone for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to help you be on the lookout for more videos from Luke Film Boss.